everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Marvel Rewind, where we talk about all the stuff that is dropping from Marvel, and in this case, it is Moon Knight, episode 3. But yeah, before we get going with my buddies, Mr. Jake, Mr. Jacob, how you guys doing?
Pretty good, man. Not bad.
That's it. Just pretty good.
Pretty good. Exciting. Literally came straight from work, walk in the door, bathroom, podcast, boom. I'm ready to go. I watched Moon Knight this morning before I went to work, and it was a nice start to my day, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, no, I'm doing okay. It's been a little bit of the week at work. I feel like I say that all the time, but this week for some reason has been. I was talking about it last night before now. On Monday, Tuesday alone, I took 43 phone calls from work.
Oh my goodness.
And that it just added more today. So work's been a little crazy, but no, I missed last week. I wasn't able to talk about Moon Knight, so I'm back ready to talk about Moon Knight. It's funny. There is now only one relevant scene in that intro that we have yet to see.
Mm-hmm. I literally was gonna bring that up when we were done talking about this.
Yeah, because we saw the moving the skies thing.
Yep.
What's the scene? Do you know?
It's him banging his head.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So that must be coming.
Which I imagine that's probably the next episode.
Yeah.
And then episode 5 and 6 have been kept out of the trailers from the very beginning anyway. Because there's been kind of like some, episode trailers and whatnot over the last couple of weeks as Jacob's phone blows up.
Seriously.
Super loud.
No, man, I'm excited to talk Moon Knight. It's been 2 weeks since I've done it, so I'm excited.
Yeah. And hello, John Booz and RD Films in the chat. Just want to shout you guys out. Hello, thank you for joining us. But yeah, we're here to talk episode 3 of Moon Knight. I quite enjoyed it. I'm loving this show. It might be my favorite. I don't know. And we're only 3. It's the first one that's really given for me WandaVision a run for its money because I love WandaVision. How are you feeling about it, Jacob? So far, we're halfway.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I don't think it's challenging WandaVision for me, but like I told you before,
your number one too?
Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah, and I told you before, like it could, like, it depends how it all ends, and because I feel like this type of show where there's kind of a mystery to it in a way, or there kind of was, but we're kind of figuring stuff out. But it's all about how the rest of the series is going to connect to the first 3 episodes, how I'm going to feel, I feel like there's something missing. Like there's something about this show that is missing for me or that I don't like. And I can't really point out what it is necessarily. It might be the tone. Feels a little weird sometimes, but I am enjoying it for the most part. This 3rd episode was really cool. Some really interesting things. Maybe one of the best moments in the show so far. So I'm ready to get into it. But overall, I enjoyed it.
I'm interested in which moment you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I could say it now if you want.
There's really multiple moments in this episode, but
we were just talking about it. So I when they were moving the sky, and I don't know exactly what they were doing, but that was so cool.
They were moving the sky.
Reversing.
Yeah, yeah.
They were reversing time essentially. So.
But just the sky, though, right?
Yeah, literally, he was just moving the sky.
I just think the build up to it, where Khonshu was like, I remember that night. I remember every night. And then
it finally seemed like Khonshu actually had emotion.
Yes.
Khonshu's
it was like the first time
my favorite.
It was like the first time that we saw other than like kill him. Or
yeah, exactly.
Or
and the fact that it was because we know him and Steven hadn't gotten along. Like he doesn't like Steven, and he's always talking crap about him. And that was a moment where he had to work with Steven to get that done. So I think that's kind of why it was one of the best moments for me so far.
Jake, how are you feeling about the series so far?
I like it a lot. This was my favorite episode of the bunch so far. I think my favorite scene, I think, is the rooftop chase last week.
Last week?
Yeah, last week.
Oh, I thought you were going to go for the run off the roof cape. That's mine.
Oh, I mean that's great. The moon cape and everything, that's great. But I still hold on to him in the rooftop last week, and finally kind of getting to see like him and his full, because I didn't get to talk about it last week, but like him and his full abilities as Mark Spector finally was really, really cool. No,
what do you think about Mr. Knight? Since you weren't here last week.
Yeah, I was curious too.
Of the Mr. Knight.
And I have a better feeling on him now. I love the fact that he's essentially Steven's version of Moon Knight.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I love it. I love like
he's
how
a classy British gentleman.
Well, I love like how suave he becomes inside that mask. And the fight last week was pretty funny too. He's like swinging it, like, because it was interesting, and I didn't get to watch last week, but the whole idea that the majority of the public can't see what's happening other than just him.
Yeah, that's weird.
Invisible. Very interesting thing that they did there. But no, I like Mr. Knight. I think he's hilarious. And like I said,
superhero landing where he tips over.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a total Steven thing to do. I would probably have felt a little bit differently if they just made him a different personality rather than making him a version of the Avatar. I think it's a very smart move for us as viewers, rather than making him like a third personality. It's just Steven's version of the Avatar, which I really like. So, but no, I mean, as far as the episode overall, I liked it the most so far because it is the perfect blend of both the Bourne movies and Indiana Jones. Trying to figure out who you are, your identity. You don't really know, right? You're trying to figure out all these mysteries. Mark, even though he knows who Mark is, at the same time, he doesn't know who Mark is. We have that moment where we kind of get a little bit of an introduction to his third personality, and we don't know who that is yet. And so there's that. And then obviously the whole Indiana Jones going through the desert, looking for treasure, going to the tomb and all that stuff. It just screams that. So a lot of cool things in the episode, a lot of fun moments in the episode. The fight scene at the horse arena, I guess you could say, was really cool.
Looked like a ranch or something.
It was like a fancy jousting.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And we learned a lot of new things. It was a very eye-opening episode for not just characters, but the story and kind of like what's happening.
It built world.
Huh?
Big time. It built world.
Well, yeah, and obviously we'll get to it, but the connection that Arthur seems to have with the other gods, which is interesting.
Crazy.
And how he's still walking on glass, which is crazy. Because they make it a point to make sure that it's heard every time he steps.
That
you can
guy.
hear it. Which I don't know if you guys saw or not, but that was Ethan Hawke's idea. I don't know if you guys
glass.
Was it really?
Yeah, he's the one who came up with the idea for him to walk on glass.
And they started the show with
it. Yeah.
That's interesting. And I mean, from what I've heard, they definitely took a lot of suggestion from people, because you said that about, I didn't know that about Ethan Hawke. I know the superhero landing where he falls over was Oscar Isaac's idea. He just did it and they were like, we love it.
Well, so, and I'd have to go back and obviously do some research, but this might be the first time we've seen a lead actor other than Robert Downey Jr. be given immediate executive producer credit on the very first MCU property they watched. Or they've taken part of, not watched, but done. Because Oscar Isaac is an executive producer.
Yeah, I noticed that in the credits.
He has very heavy hand in everything that happens in the creative process, which is really cool.
Yeah, Maddie, I see you. I see you every week saying that you love the cheeky British humor that
Steven is so good. His character is so good.
It's really good.
I kind of missed him, honestly. Like that he wasn't in control.
Well,
this episode.
The best moment of the entire episode was when they're in the horse arena and they're fighting, and he's like, "Give me the body." And then he gets stabbed. He goes, "Take the body."
Yeah, that was hilarious.
And Mark turns. It's just amazing. It's so good. Oscar Isaac is just.
He's doing so good because he's literally going on 3 different characters.
Well, and he played Khonshu.
Yeah, it's just the man is single-handedly running this show as one the like one person playing all these different roles, and it's cool. I love it. My guy is Khonshu. I love whoever that voice guy is.
Is that where we're starting? Khonshu?
Well, I was going to kind of.
Isn't it F. Murray Abraham or something, right?
Yes,
Murray,
I always forget his name. Only because of it can kind of like I was going to go into Jake Lockley at the beginning, possibly. I love everything about Khonshu, and I'm checking Twitter like crazy, waiting for them to drop something that I can buy of Khonshu.
A Khonshu figure.
That probably won't happen till after the show.
I mean, this is the first week since it's premiered that they haven't dropped any new stuff. Like I've already ordered 3 Funkos and like t-shirt. Like it's bad. But yeah, no. So Khonshu telling him hang the boy over the edge. He'll talk.
Oh, he'll talk.
And then
I thought he would have talked.
Yeah.
He's just chill.
Cut off his little rope.
And they even made like in the subtitles it says body thumps, and I'm like,
you can hear it as clear as day.
That was a long drop.
Yeah, it was a full on cliff, but no, I mean the Khonshu character, like we talked about the first 2 episodes, this guy was just like, kill him, he's an idiot. Why do we want this guy here, etc.
Yeah,
and then after realizing that Mark is actually on the path to figuring something out, he kind of like steps back a little bit. And for the lack of a better term, he kind of gets a soul and kind of steps into this moment of like, and I love that line of, tell Mark to save me, and us realizing like, okay, this is his final act. This is his final act. This is his redemption in a way.
So mad.
And obviously at the end of the episode, we see him. He's locked away in stone.
So that means until he releases him, there's no Moon Knight.
No Moon Knight.
That's what I would assume.
No Moon Knight. Yeah.
I mean, it makes the most sense because he said at the beginning, like, without me, you don't have your healing armor.
Well, and I think that was, I don't know about the Moon Knight powers, how they work. So that was a reveal as a viewer who doesn't know that, because we see him in the first episode when he wakes up and his face is all bent or whatever, like, and he's constantly he's constantly getting beat up and stuff. The armor heals him.
He's essentially invincible in the armor.
Well, I mean, we saw him stabbed with like 7 spears.
Exactly. So, I didn't even know he was penetrable, to be honest. But maybe he is, but it doesn't hurt him. Maybe it's like Wolverine in a way or something.
It might be like the Mummy, where the Mummy gets stabbed, but he doesn't really feel it.
Yeah.
It's just like there.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like uncomfortable, but yeah, no, he's basically invincible when he's in the armor. That's how he has been in the comics. I would assume they're going.
They called it healing armor on purpose, just so people know, like that's what.
Yeah.
It does.
Well, I mean, it looks like mummy garbs, which mummy garbs were to protect you.
But now he's in danger if he doesn't have that. Mark better be in control for them.
Well, I mean, and it obviously leads us to believe that Khonshu's not going to be gone for too long, because they're not going to take the next 3 episodes.
Yeah, there's no way.
Mark and Steven and have no Moon Knight. Like, you do need Moon Knight. But I mean, the Khonshu character in general, I mean, we learned a lot in the sense of his history, his ability, basically calling to the gods with that whole the sun moon situation that he called upon.
The eclipse,
yeah, and then getting all of these avatars, which I thought was a really cool like addition to the story. And seeing all of these different gods who have avatars spread across the world, who are just there to watch. They're essentially the Eternals. They don't get involved.
So do you guys think that? Hold on. I was going to ask. Do you guys think the gods are in on it with Harrow, or
I think
they just really believe that he's not up to no good and they're letting him go?
I think
the main one is that guy.
Because I was like, come on, he's obviously up to no good. Like, but maybe that main guy seemed like the leader, right?
Yeah.
He probably is in on it with him some way.
So, history, the group of gods is the Enad, which he said. There's supposed to be 9 of them. They only showed 7. I
And
think
Khonshu's one of them, right?
Khonshu's one of them, but he's been like outcast, if you will.
Banned or whatever.
You know who we're gonna see?
Who?
I'm assuming what Gordon said.
Yep.
So if they do that, though, that means they have to replace one unless they go to 10.
That's fine.
So they, I had to write it down because I forgot the name.
And here's the big kicker. This is so just to kind of go off of what Brian's saying, Jacob, to make this clear, we're talking about Bast.
Yeah.
So Bast is Black Panther's god.
Oh.
And this
from the African continent.
This may be the way that we get Black Panther, where this god creates an avatar.
Wow.
Instead of a flower, they actually create an avatar, and now we have Black Panther.
Interesting, because that all ties in. That's crazy. I didn't even think about that.
Okay, I know we've talked about it so many freaking times, but Marvel and their world building, if this actually happens, wow, what a little seed to plant for future stuff as far as Black Panther goes with everything that happened. Wow.
Yeah, that would be really cool and they connect that, because there's connections they can force, but there's connections that make sense and you don't really have to do too much explaining, and that one makes so much sense.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, there's supposedly in this there might be 10. The 9 of them being
Brian. Those were the chairs they were zooming in on, right? Or the statues. Statues.
Yeah, it's their podium, if you will.
Yeah, there you go. Podiums. There you go.
So Horus, which was the main guy,
Uh-huh.
that looked like he kind of betrayed him, which is ironic because he's the god of basically justice.
He looks like your classic English bad guy. I'm sorry, Maddie, but he looks like your classic British villain.
So true.
He's supposed to be the justice one, essentially. And he is, I'm assuming, the leader from the most talking. Isis, if you call it. Tefnut, Osiris, and Hathor. And Hathor was the chick that was talking to him.
She was
helping him.
Yeah.
The one who seemed to be the most friendly.
Yeah. I forgot.
What is she, goddess of music or something?
It was music and something.
Sound
like
and
that.
music or something?
I think it was Sound of Music. Was it Sound of Music?
Maybe.
Yeah, the Sound of Music movie.
Maybe that's where they got it from.
Yeah, maybe. And then we didn't see which they dropped a line when they stoned Khonshu is I forget what the line was, a relic among the others or something, which makes me think that
Love and Music. Love and Music.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Love and music.
Thank you, John.
Yeah,
very interesting combo, but whatever.
So the two that they left out that I found most interesting are minus Amit. They're the most violent ones. You had Anubis, which is the god of death.
If you've seen The Mummy, you know what Anubis is.
Yeah, Anubis. And then you have Seth, which is the god of war. So the two violence. Well, death isn't.
So it seems that they would have been cast out just like Khonshu, essentially.
Yeah. So I think they're in stone in the temple.
That makes sense.
So I don't know. But I'm very curious to see how that goes. Give me more gaudy stuff. I love it. The Eternals, this one,
Hercules is a dope ass character.
Yeah, give me the Greek gods, if you will.
Yeah.
There was a line. I wish I would have written it down. That Horus said, I think it was Moon Knight or Khonshu said through Mark, we should be helping them or something, and he's like, why? They abandoned us, or something along that line. And I was
they don't believe them anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Or we should be leaving them or something. And he's like, why? They don't believe in us. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that's good, because it showed you can have all these different gods in the world. People didn't just believe in the one. So you can have all these different gods around other because they're just different people's stuff. Like, I mean, you have the Norse gods from Thor already.
Yeah.
Well,
You
and this is also a rumor that Zeus is going to be in 11th Thunder.
Oh yeah, that's supposed to be Russell Crowe, I think.
Yeah. So I think that they can all exist. It's kind of like all the mythologies from the different cultures exist
Yeah,
in the
100%.
MCU, and they're
I like
playing
it.
into this. Yeah.
And
And
at
I
first,
if they do it like this, where maybe they just centralize it in a world like Moon Knight, and they don't expand on it like crazily like they do in the
Yeah.
comics, and they focus solely on like the Avatar situation of them kind of like playing around in the shadows, or we
don't need to see them. Like,
well, yeah, like maybe they've been observers, but they are thrown into situations where they have to use that ability, or someone like Bast, who for the longest time the Black Panther has been the protector of Wakanda, the thing of Wakanda, and now that they don't have any more herbs, maybe she has to step in and keep that going, and that's how the Avatar happened, something like that. They don't need to expand on it super crazily, but I think if they centralize it in something like this, and then you can branch off and bring people in like Hercules or any of these other characters, it'd be super cool. And I get it; it's different from Egyptian to Greek stuff. I understand that, but the mythologies are so rich with stories.
Mhm.
Like, we're 3 episodes in, and look how much we're like loving the idea of Egyptian gods and stories and going into the desert and raiding tombs and stuff like that. Like, are you kidding me? That's an MCU property? Like,
yeah,
come on.
it's fun because I mean, you don't have to. I mean, these gods can literally just chill in the overvoid and never show up in person,
Yeah.
but you can just still make their presence known by like this type of episode.
Yeah.
So I like it a lot. Anyone else want to chime in?
Well, I was
on
gonna
something?
say at first when the God scene first happened, and they brought in Haro, and they were like, and he was accusing him, and he put him on trial. I'm like, they're obviously not gonna side with Moon Knight here. They're not gonna side, and it was kind of making me upset. And I was like, are they just gonna leave it at that? And then I kind of realized, okay, the reason they did this is to show, like, because if they never did this scene or this episode, we would have been like, why doesn't Khonshu just get help from the other gods? Now we've already done that, and they're not going to help. So now Steven and Moon Knight, or Mark, Steven, and Moon Knight and Layla, they got to do this on their own. Like, nobody's helping them. So
and
that's pretty cool.
Layla.
Me too.
That actress is fantastic.
Great.
She gives me such oh crap, I'm forgetting her name from The Mummy. I've only seen the movies once.
Rachel Weisz.
Rachel Weisz.
Yeah, but what's the character's name?
I forget.
I
should know it.
Evie.
Yeah, that is Evie. Yep.
I literally feel like she's that character modern.
Well, the actress is part Egyptian, so that's pretty cool that they got her for this.
She's such a badass, and they are tiptoeing her story so hard, and they are teasing it like it's
so Brian, for people who may be listening who don't know what you're talking about, don't reveal too much. But
I mean, I've already said it. Like,
reveal a little bit about what you're speaking on about Layla's past and what she's all about.
Well, in the comics, her name's Marlene, and her and her dad were archaeologists that went not cave hunting, tomb. What if I'm drawing a blank on the name? They were looking for relics and crap.
Archaeology.
Yeah, but there's a different, like, if there's a
Tomb Raider.
Yeah,
not Tomb Raiders. Tomb Raiders is bad. Either way, they were looking for just famous relics and crap.
Yeah.
They're Jedi relic hunters.
Yeah. There we go. That's the perfect one.
And
they did what the Knights of Ren couldn't do. Okay, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Mark was essentially their bodyguard with some other people and got betrayed and her father got killed, and which that's not spoiling anything because they
said it in the episode
twice
yeah.
that her father was murdered.
Yes, Maddie. Yes.
So, yeah. And the people that Mark was friends with betrayed Mark, a la him essentially dying, and Khonshu saved him.
Yeah.
So they're tiptoeing.
Well, they already brought that up. Was it last episode?
Yeah, the story's pretty much been fleshed out with just like little bits. Like the guy that betrayed them is his biggest villain.
Do you think that they'll bring that character in, or they'll keep it to where the people that betrayed Mark are part of Haro's crew?
I don't think he's going to have any connection to Haro. I would be actually disappointed.
But what I'm saying is, like, okay, so we saw that scene where Mark gets picked up by what we believed were the British police, and they were Haro's people, and they said, "Oh, didn't you know this guy's wanted for murder? Essentially, he killed the team, he killed these people, etc., etc." This is what we're alluding to. What I'm asking is, in that scene of where supposedly Mark is being framed for it all, right? Something happened. He was revived by Khonshu in that moment. Do you think that his big bad villain will actually come from that scene, or that they're going to keep it to where the people that betrayed him are part of Haro's crew?
I personally think that his big bad is going to be shown. I'm guessing that maybe what they'll do, if I had to put money on the table of what they're going to do, it would be that Mark and the big bad were hired to protect them.
That's what.
But then Haro got a hold of
his
big bad buddy, to betray him.
Okay,
that's what I was just a regular human, the big bad buddy.
Yeah. No, they're just Mark is basically like a mercenary marine.
Yeah.
And his buddy is the same.
So when they picked him up, the cops, I think it was the second episode, they were like, "Oh, brutal! You shot these people in the back. You basically executed them."
Yes. And
we saw in this episode, somebody messed those guys up, and it wasn't Mark, it wasn't Steven. There's the third personality. It might have been the third personality who executed those people.
It could,
honestly.
I mean, it's definitely an option. Unless they are going to completely change his big bad's origin story, which they can. I mean, there's nothing saying they can't. If they were to not do it that way, they would have to.
Are you purposely not saying the character's name?
I didn't know if I should or not.
Oh, okay. Because
I mean, if it's in comic books, it's not really a spoiler.
So the character's name is Bushman.
Okay. Does he have any abilities?
No.
So I think anything like that you have knowledge from the comics is all speculation, unless you know something for sure.
Question for the class: what are the chances that Bushman is a god's avatar?
Ooh.
I mean, there's two gods left, so if they wanted to use...
What if he's a violent god's avatar, and that's how you make him a really big...
Which you can make that be Seth. He's the god of war.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I don't see why you would use death. That'd be a little...
Because you're in the comics, the entire time, Bushman is just this badass mercenary, right?
Essentially. He's kind of like... I mean, he doesn't have superpowers, but
he's like the Punisher.
Yes.
But evil.
Yes.
Okay, so would it frustrate you if they made him an avatar?
No.
Because I think that's what they should do, personally.
I think it'd be fine. I do really love the origin story of him. This was his ride or die.
Yeah. Well, and that can still happen.
Yeah, like exactly. This was his ride or die
at some point. Like maybe he married Layla, and Layla became his new partner, and they split, and then all of a sudden he became an avatar.
Yeah, I mean,
and I just remembered you mentioned this before, Brian, that he called him once on the phone, right?
Well, it was on the
No,
recent
that's Duchamp. No, that's
Okay.
a completely different person.
That wasn't Bushman. Okay.
Duchamp is his best friend that is essentially Alfred in the comics.
Yeah,
they call him
okay. Because
Frenchie.
I remembered there was one other name other than Layla in the phone, and we haven't heard anything about that character.
We haven't heard a single thing about Duchamp.
That's interesting. Yeah,
and that's like his almost like his Alfred. He was kind of like this. They call him Frenchie. He was essentially like, whenever Moon Knight needed to escape a situation, he'd call him and he'd come pick him up in his flying crescent ship and stuff like that. And he was like,
we'll see that character eventually. Probably not this season though.
Eventually. I think he'll be very different. And I'm not opposed to that. Because
I think he's going to be someone that like supplies Moon Knight with what he needs.
Probably.
Almost like that dude in Black Widow.
That
guy with like the ship and stuff.
What if it's actually him? I mean, who knows? No. I mean, that'd be crazy.
That would be cool.
Yeah. I want to see that guy again, to be honest.
He said he signed a multi-picture contract.
Yeah, he did say that. But I don't see that character staying that way because they have made it abundantly clear that they're not doing the like he's worth $1 billion type character. Because
he's not Bruce Wayne.
Steve Grant is the money, like
is the billionaire one.
He's very similar to Tony Stark in the sense of like just has
so
money.
They changed him completely.
Yeah, Stephen Grant is completely a different character, which actually to me has worked out.
No,
really
it works
well,
great because that's my favorite part. Is just Steven's personality. To be honest, is my favorite thing about the show.
He's a completely different character. But if we want to talk characters, we got our first, well, maybe second little hint at Jake Lockley, which that's going to be a completely another different take too.
So I was going to ask, is Lockley a murderer in the comics?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Why would he be the one to kill people? I feel like
that
would be Mark.
Jake Lockley in the comics is literally just a cab driver.
Well, so and to be fair,
he's like your average New Yorker that works as a cab driver. That's literally it. And so it's mercenary. That's funny. I was going to say mercenary Mark. Stephen Grant is the like rich eccentric billionaire, and Jake Lockley is supposed to be more of like Stephen, where it's just your average cabbie in New York.
Well, if they change Stephen, now I think they could change Jake.
Oh, they definitely are. I think they might make Jake full on like a psychopath, like full blown.
I was thinking that the third personality is a bad guy, like he's not a good person.
I think so. Here's what I think. I think Jake Lockley is the one. Do you remember in the square?
That has to be it too. He's the one who asked the girl out on the date.
That close to what Samir. I think Jake is the one that. Do you remember the scene where he passes out, trying to avoid the giving Arthur the amulet, and all of a sudden he's covered in blood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think that's.
It wasn't Mark. That was definitely Jake.
Yeah, so I think Jake is going to be just a full blown psycho.
And you know what's cool about this? So this is what's cool about this. We talked about in episode 1. This is one of your reservations, Jacob, about how we're not seeing the blackouts, right?
Yeah.
We didn't see the blackouts in episode 1 when Steven was turning into Mark. Mm-hmm. Now we're not seeing the episode or the blackouts when Mark is turning into someone else, which means Jake F. and Lockley or whoever he is coming next episode. We're gonna see we'll rip some throats out.
So all of the blackouts could be Jake. Jake Lockley.
Yeah.
And definitely the scene where the guy's sitting dead in the back of the cupcake truck. You know, like that's definitely Jake in that sense. That wasn't Moon Knight. That was 100% Jake where he had the gun in his hand.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah.
It makes sense because
you're right, Andy. We're always psychos.
Because Steven is like,
I like that was great.
That was good,
he kind of gives Mark crap for being a killer, right? He's like, no, I'm not letting you take over the body because you're a killer. So then if it's Jake is the one that's the problem, then they just have to block out Jake and they can both switch back and forth and have a life together.
You're feeling it, Curtis.
I think it would be a very cool. So far, all the changes they have made, I have had zero problem with. Like, there have been changes in the MCU that I've been like, okay, fine.
Like everything
But,
Eternals.
yeah, a lot of them were Eternals. But these are fantastic. Like, they are doing justice. Like, I could see them absolutely. I mean, we went from Steven being this like grunt that Mark is just trying to avoid. What if Mark and Steven now have to work together to keep Jake suppressed?
Well, we saw, and this may be turning into a different conversation, but I did love how Mark finally gave in to Steven and helping him with the sarcophagus and like figuring out the map and asking him questions. Even though he didn't let him take over the body, he was like, okay, well, like, what am I supposed to do here, et cetera, et cetera. Because Mark now, especially now, he can't do it on his own because it is on Moon Knight anymore. And obviously the episode left off on a cliffhanger where he's just kind of lying there and Layla's trying to wake him up. But they are 100% going to have to rely on each other. And if they're trying, like you said, Brian, to suppress another personality that they have no idea is actually there, that could be a very interesting dynamic when you take out the effect of Moon Knight for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be kind of cool to go from like Steven suppressing Mark, who he thought was like the psycho, and then Mark trying to suppress Steven because he's a wuss, when really they should be trying to suppress the psycho that is. It would be such a cool like.
Bro, I cannot wait to see what Jake Lockley's avatar looks like. Bro.
Yeah.
I think he might just be like a straight up. So have you seen the posters? There's the one of Oscar Isaac in the Moon Knight suit. Mm-hmm. There's the one of him in the Mr. Knight suit. And then there's the one of him that's just like this.
That's probably Jake.
I think that's Jake. The one where he's just literally, and he looks like
which means that one scene that we have left in our intro, that's probably Jake.
Maybe.
Wow.
It's so fun. Like,
yo, we're cracking the code on Marvel Rewind today. First, we figured out Black Panther. Now we're figuring out the whole personality thing. We're on a roll right now.
It's just, they're building this character so well. And it's making me so happy because they're doing an relatively obscure character.
Well, you'd probably call him like a B- character in comic books?
Oh, I'd actually give him a C. Probably.
All right, there you go.
On if I'm being truthful, he is an Avenger, but like he's not everyone's favorite. He is arguably one of the bloodiest and like not.
Curtis figured it out.
Yeah, there you go.
Personality. He figured it out.
Oh my goodness.
Over a year and a half later, and we're still talking about flipping Mephisto.
I hope they never bring that character in and just
I guarantee you that's what it is. It's the ultimate troll. It's the ultimate troll.
It's just funny at this point. But they're just doing Moon Knight so well. They're taking things and changing it, but it's also changing it to be so good at something different that as someone that has grown up loving this character, like the changes don't bother me at all. It's making me more excited. And that's not something, I mean, people are very diehard love for their characters. And when someone changes something, like, I mean, look at how Luke Skywalker was in Last Jedi. Like, people were freaking out. I think they're doing this one so well. And I have zero complaints about it so far. The liberties they're taking, which I have a feeling Oscar Isaac had a good deal of input on too. So,
yeah, I did want to mention, so we don't forget, it was the premiere of Gaspard Ulliel's character, the actor who passed away. Yes. Really cool seeing him in there. I'm curious because his character in the comics is someone more important, right? Do you think that's the last we're seeing of him?
I thought it was very interesting, the fact that they made it look like Moon Knight killed him.
Yeah.
Like he threw his crest.
And then you heard like a thud or something.
Yeah, he threw his crest at him while he was riding the horse, and then it just like the horse went into the fog and you heard and that was about it. I'm part of me selfishly. I'm hoping maybe we don't see him anymore. If we don't see him anymore, then it gives you, maybe you can like use Midnight Man. I don't think
IMDb
it's
says
the last
how many episodes he's in, though.
I was going to
won't
say,
though.
I don't think that he's going to be just this episode. I think he's probably.
But they also didn't leave it on a cliffhanger, like this character will return. It was kind of like,
no, they made it
last we'll
seem
see
like
of
he's
him.
dead. I have a feeling what they were going to do probably is it looked like they killed him. And then eventually sometime down the road, you're going to see, you would have saw him again as Midnight Man and then not know who this character is.
Yeah.
And then eventually at some point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You tried to kill me one time and it did.
And as shitty as it is, they can still do that. And just unfortunately have to use a different actor, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
The circumstances, you know, if that's what they decide to do, but there's also ways of them not using the character if they decide not to, and that's totally okay. I love the role from him. I thought the role was great. I thought the character was very cool. Having no history with him, I thought the idea of him was very cool. But yeah, it is a bummer. You know, we've kind of been waiting to see him just because of everything that happened before the show came out. But yeah, so I don't think he's dead either. Like who said it?
I don't think
Amir said it. No body means he's still alive. So,
100%.
He has a connection to Layla. Like something happened between them. He's like, I haven't forgiven you or something.
Yeah.
They were probably love interest and she went for Mark and
maybe
the whole shebang.
Or she robbed him or something.
Maybe. Maybe she stole a relic.
What did she say? She says, I don't steal stuff. She's like, I take it back. And he's like, then I keep a little bit to pay the bills.
Yeah, something along that. But other than that, there was, well, speaking of him, they dropped the name Madripoor there.
Did they?
Yeah. I think it was in that context of what you just said, Jacob, which is like, I still haven't forgot what you did in Madripoor. So what, do you remember
that she was essentially stealing stuff in Madripoor.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Everyone, you know what? We broke the code. Everyone's working for the power broker.
I was just about to say, maybe she was stealing stuff from the power broker who was an art collector.
We're just on a flip and roll today.
Sharon
We're just on a flip and roll.
I mean, maybe she was a freaking art collector dealer. Maybe she was stealing stuff from the power broker.
I mean, it's very possible that whenever we do get the power broker back in the MCU fold, that Layla could show up in some capacity.
It would fit like those characters fit together.
She's a treasure hunter. That's essentially what she is. And like you said, she steals stuff that's already been stolen. And then, you know, she gives it back and keeps a little bit of the money. And whether it's good or bad, you know, sometimes it goes up against someone like the power broker. She gets into a little bit over her head. She runs into a sticky situation. And it's definitely possible. The Layla character, she's cool because obviously her biggest connection is Mark and Moon Knight, but she can fit into a lot of places in Marvel. And I look forward to seeing her pop up because I'm sure that she will. She's a great actress. I think the character is brilliant. So
I like her a lot. Again, part of me today was thinking like Marlene and Layla. Maybe it's like close Marlene. Lame. I don't know.
What?
She's also got two of her own little
dude, when she did that was legit.
That was dope.
I love that she can fight on her own. Like they did it in episode 2. Like she
Khonshu likes her a lot.
Khonshu wants her to be Moon Knight.
Yeah. She can clearly hold her own.
Do we think that's going to happen at some point?
I hope not. If they do, like
we talked about it, Ryan and I talked about it, and I was thinking like, what if they kill off Oscar Isaac and she's the Moon Knight? But I don't think they would do that.
I was just thinking like, what if like there's a situation where Mark or Steven or whatever, they just don't agree, and Khonshu's like, I'm taking away from you, and he's like on probation, and he gives it to Layla while they're on against odds. You know?
So I'm very curious if and how they do that because like essentially in the comics, it's almost like a contract. Like it was like
that's what it seems like.
you
Well, he said
fulfill-
that. He said that last week.
We breached
Oscar
our
Isaac.
agreement or something.
Yeah, he said.
Yeah,
And Khonshu's like one more mission or something. It's like my missions are over or whatever.
so in the comics, Khonshu's always like, do this one for me and I'll release you. Do
Yeah.
this. And he just constantly is doing this over and over and over again. So I'm kind of curious how that works. Like, I have a feeling like it's not like, here, you be Moon Knight, you be Moon Knight, you take the like. It's either like he's freed or he's dead. Like, I feel like that's
It's not like Venom where he can just jump back and forth between anybody, right?
Yeah, hence how like Arthur Harrow's kind of seems like he's a little pissed that the power got taken from him.
Or like Khonshu left him.
Yeah, like Khonshu, I think he just released him probably. Like,
well, he said I was happy doing your bidding. He said
exactly. Yeah. So I'm thinking he released him, whereas Mark, he's not letting him be
he knows
released.
how good he is.
Exactly. And especially if he sees Jake Lockley be this psycho murderer, then if he's like the comics, then that's like the perfect.
Well, look, Khonshu has to
person
be
for him.
aware of the third personality, right? Because when he's
100% he
switching back and forth between
probably.
the two,
1000%.
Khonshu's always there.
1,000%.
Probably.
So is he not telling Mark and
Oh,
Steven
100%.
about him?
He's not saying anything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Probably.
Wow.
I mean, Khonshu.
He's a
because he would
sleazeball.
love a guy like
Yeah.
that who will just kill anybody, right?
He's,
Yeah,
he's
oh,
literally, He is literally the worst god
true.
you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Loki's a trickster, but he
But
he
Loki has
doesn't-
saved the world a couple times.
That is true, and he's also tried to destroy it. Yeah, he's a very fickle god. Like they are definitely tiptoeing around certain things with him. Like in the comics, like there are points where literally all he just wants is blood. Like, and we've seen that a couple times where he's like, break his windpipe or stuff like that. And so like, I'm like, okay, that's the one that I'm really familiar with. This was today's where he was kind of just like almost begging when he was like, make sure you free me. Like, that's not a typical thing. So who knows? I'm like, again, I'm enjoying every change and stuff that they're doing so far. I have no complaints about it at all. In fact, Khonshu is like high up on my like scale right now. So when they like locked him in stone, I was like, great.
I think
we're gonna probably see him next episode again.
Yeah, I think.
See, now
the
I don't
first
think
scene
they'll-
is going to be them releasing him.
Or
I
at the
think
end of the
he's-
episode, he'll be released or something.
I think he will
Yeah.
be locked till 5. So you won't see him next
Maybe.
one, but 5,
Maybe.
because I don't see them going more than an episode without him being able to turn into the suit.
Yeah, that's kind of been one of my frustrations. Is like I want to see more Moon Knight. To be honest,
Yeah, that I agree with you.
called Moon Knight.
I mean, are you the opposite, Jake? You're
I'm the
more
complete opposite.
okay. That's fair. I do really want to see Steven use the batons, though.
No, I
Oh,
love when he
yeah.
fumbles it. I think that just plays to his character.
Yeah, but at some point he has to like at least.
I don't think Mr. Knight or Steven should be in any action. He should always yell, "Take the body back! Take the body back!" Always.
I mean, it works. I don't know. It's just a cool look. Like the look is so cool that I kind of just want to see it.
Oh, I love the
guess.
Mr. Knight too, but that's what's so cool about it is that we only see it in certain occasions. I don't want to see it all the time.
Ooh,
Oh
with
no,
the
I don't either.
eyes.
I just want to see like Steven have to get thrown into a situation where he literally has to use the batons and like fight for a second. So, Jake, you have some highlighted stuff you want to bring up?
Yeah, but I did want to bring up this because this is relating to what we're talking about.
What?
Curtis said, yeah, something big happens next episode because it's the last one they released in advance for screeners.
That's true. Molly did say that they left it on a part where she was like, give me more.
So there's definitely something that happens.
Interesting.
But I wanted to oh god, I forgot what I was gonna bring up. Oh, it was about Layla. Okay, we were talking about her becoming Moon Knight, right? Question for the class. could she become an avatar for someone else?
A different god? Possibly.
Like what if
That would-
one of
That
those
would
avatars
piss off
dies?
Khonshu.
What if one of those avatars dies? And boom, Layla's right there.
Or it could be
I
one that
mean,
we haven't seen yet.
That
also.
too. Like what if she's already an avatar? How about them apples?
And we don't know.
Bro.
I feel
That'd
like
be
if
interesting.
Okay, I feel like Khonshu would know.
I'm just reaching for the conversation.
No. I her becoming one is not a horrible idea. Like that's kind of cool because Khonshu would be flipping pissed if someone took that from him. I feel like he would know if she was.
I think it's more possible that one could take over her in the future.
Yeah.
What if? Okay, so they're trying to release Amit, right? Is
that
he
Hathor chick? Maybe she
expecting
dies.
Amit to take him as his avatar?
I was gonna
Haro?
say,
Yes.
man, what if Amit wants a female and he swoops right into Layla?
Because what happens when they release Amit? What if they're all standing there and she takes Layla? That would be crazy.
You know, it'd be
Amit's-
hilarious, and they'll never do this. But in the Moon Knight parody, Amit would be released, go up to Arthur and be like, "No,
Yeah,
like that's
exactly.
There you go.
I'm curious, does Arthur make it out this season?
No.
All right. That's what I
Yeah, probably not. And
Here you go. See, this is what I'm
yeah.
talking about. What if she's becomes Ra's avatar, which Ra is the god of sun?
Yeah.
Sun,
Ooh, that
moon,
would be
sun,
cool.
moon.
I could see her becoming Hathor's, the chick that
Love
was
and Music.
talking.
It feels like that character, and I'm not saying like she's gonna sacrifice herself, but I feel like she's gonna side with Mark.
Yeah.
And she might become in the line of fire, and then maybe that's how Layla kind of gets squeezed.
So
in.
the other gods could kill her because she's helping him, like kill
Possible.
the avatar,
especially
and
if they're working with Arthur.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she was helping him.
Yeah.
She literally was like giving him like, this is what you do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm loving it because there's so much that they could do. They're already halfway through, but it's so good. I can't wait for this whole thing to drop because I'm gonna watch it all at once because it literally feels like a long movie that's being broken apart.
Yeah, it really does. Because the other shows felt like TV shows. This one really feels like a movie.
It's funny that you're absolutely right. My friend that I was talking to back home, he's not a crazy Marvel fan, but he watches everything. And he said he's like that. All of them have felt like TV shows. This feels like it's movie that they broke up into 6 parts. And I'm like, you're not wrong. Like, I know it's blasphemous to talk about DC and the Marvel Rewind, but it very much is like that Snyder cut where it's just like the one long where they just have like a quick little pause of like chapter 2.
Well, if you cut it all together, it would feel the most natural. Like you wouldn't even know, like, hey, when did the next episode end and start? You know?
Because I tried to do that with WandaVision and it didn't work.
Didn't flow as well
as much as I thought it would. This seems to just be very much.
Maybe there will be a Jake Berlin cut one day that comes out about all 6 episodes. So we'll see.
You have been saying that for a while.
All right, a couple highlighted questions here I wanted to get to. John Booz is 100% correct here. The episode length is nice. It's very nice.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
John again also asked, could Mark know about Jake? If there wasn't a specific line in this episode, then yes, but he did ask Steven why he did all this.
Exactly. He said, Steven, what did you do?
Yeah.
It's like, why would Steven do that?
There is a slight part of me that maybe thinks he has a suspicion of another personality.
I think he has an inclination that there's a third personality, but he's not saying anything.
I think so because the amount of times that like Layla's been like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
About like the dad and stuff. I'm like, he knows something, but he's not like maybe 100% sure.
For sure. And then this is a good kind of end question here. What if the season finale post-credit scene, Blade shows up at the museum?
I don't know about the museum, but Blade, if anyone's showing up, it's
going to show up. They're going to put Mahershala Ali in every capacity they can, even if it's just his voice. They're going to use him.
I would have said, if it wasn't for the fact that they already put him in Eternals, out of all the characters teasing or around, he makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about even established characters. Like he makes the like you're not gonna put like Reed Richards showing up. It wouldn't
Yeah.
make
Well,
sense.
Yes, and the big part is because the last time or the only time we've heard him, he was actually in London because of Black Knight. He was in
Yeah.
London. So where are they? Well, right now they're in Egypt, but where does he live? He lives in London. So
Yeah. It makes the most sense because he's supernatural. Moon Knight is very much supernaturally.
really only runs around at night. What is Blade? He's a vampire. I know he's a daywalker, but he's a vampire.
And where we already know Werewolf by Night is coming. You can't introduce Werewolf by Night because people are going to be like, what? Like, that's not a known character. Blade is a known character.
There is so much coming, you guys. You have no idea. Like
what in
Black
this
Knight,
series, or you just mean in general?
Ghost
everything.
Rider, Blade, Werewolves, like there is so much coming just in this part of the MCU. And this is such a small little sliver.
Yeah, it's like we said at the very beginning, first episode, they are totally building the supernatural world, and I am all here for it. And I think the closer we get to that, like you're going to see Ghost Rider, like all that type of crap start coming out of the woodwork, and I'm
all for it.
Who is what is Black Knight's name? The human character.
Oh my god, drawing blank
from Eternals, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Kit Harington.
Look, I know that Blade is kind of recruiting him, but what if we don't know how much time has passed?
Dane Whitman.
Dane Whitman. Thank you.
We don't know how much time has passed from the end of Eternals to this. What if Dane Whitman shows up? I think
I thought that too
at the museum or something.
I thought that too. There's definitely a possibility we see him instead of, because in the biggest reason why I would say that is because I doubt the first time we're ever going to see Mahershala Ali as Blade will be on a TV show.
Yeah.
See, now here's my thing. You put Blade or Mahershala Ali next to Oscar Isaac,
of course.
Then it's a little bit more
but MCU, I don't think that matters. I think it's about the characters rather than as the actors.
True.
I just looking forward at like what's to come. Outside of maybe Doctor Strange, I don't see him flowing into anything
and he doesn't
that we know of. No, but I mean, like, you know, like if you want to like really hype him up, like maybe show him in the costume for the first time.
Oh, you're talking about Blade.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Who are you talking about?
I thought you were talking about Moon Knight.
Oh, no. I'm talking about Blade. Sorry. I just, for Blade, I don't see him popping up in, what do we have now? Thor.
Well, yeah, but remember, I mean, he doesn't need to pop up in anything because he has an actual movie coming.
Yeah, I know.
But he doesn't need to pop up in anything.
Yeah, I know. I just think
it's just us wanting to see him.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, they know that, so they probably want to tease it a little bit more too.
For sure.
So, but yeah, that is going to do it. We pretty much solved the entirety of Moon Knight.
We solved the entire MCU, everybody.
Yeah, by episode 3. So you're welcome. But that's going to do it for us. Thank you for joining us. This is fun. I am enjoying talking about this so much. I think you guys are as well. So I hope you guys are enjoying it listening too. But that's going to do it for Marvel Rewind. I'm Brian. Jacob. Thank you for joining us on Apocalypse. We do shows all the time. Tomorrow, you can check out Halo with Geo. We have our shows on Tuesdays. But yeah, thank you for joining us. Catch you guys next time. See you later.